everyone hates adverts, so I don't monetize my channel. But that means it gets buried by YouTube, so if you enjoy this, I'd really appreciate you sharing it on your social media. Thanks a lot. Hello and thanks for joining me for some more landscape photography. Now, you might be expecting me to be coming to you from the United States of America, specifically Colorado. Unfortunately, my trip didn't quite pan out as I'd hoped. So I thought I'd just do a quick intro to kind of make excuses for the fact that the filming was sporadic, poor quality, not very well thought through. I did manage to make one or two images, but essentially what happened is that I'd only been there about 48 hours when I got hit really hard with altitude sickness, to the extent that I got a high altitude cerebral edema, which meant that I lost the use of my legs and I spent 4 days trapped in my hire car. As you can imagine, that did put a bit of a damper on the photography, and what that meant was that there was some photography where I parked my tripod right alongside the driver's door and still got some photographs, which I'll share with you probably in the second video in this series. I think I've got enough to split it into 2 short videos, so that's what I'll do. But essentially, I came home in a wheelchair, which, as you can see, I'm just kind of getting to grips with. Don't panic. Easy for me to say now, because obviously at the time I was panicking, but essentially my legs are improving and I should have full mobility back within week, 10 days, fortnight, something like that, so I'm told. Obviously at the time I was thinking, oh dear, this could well be the end of my landscape photography career. But yeah, so bit of an excuse. These next couple of videos are going to be a bit ropey. Bear with me. I'm going to share them with you anyway. Probably have to do a bit of voiceover work. I haven't got much B-roll, so they might be a bit jumpy going from shot to shot. But in the end I actually did have a really good time, despite the forced car camping, because I literally couldn't walk. I couldn't get out of the car to get into the hotel accommodation that I had booked, so I just slept in the car. So I car camped in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, in Grand Teton State Park, and also around Bozeman, Montana for a couple of nights by the Yellowstone River. But yeah, I'm on the mend, so nothing to panic about. But anyway, hope you enjoy what I've got to offer on these road trip videos in the USA. Thanks. I've just pulled over on the side of the road to see if I can get a shot down this valley. I've got a little splash of sunlight coming in, but it's being masked by a load of rain at the moment, so I have to wait it out, I think. As park and shoot locations goes, I've got to say this is one of the best I've ever visited. I'm right on the Continental Divide in the Rocky Mountains of Colorado, up at about 11,000 feet. And I stopped because I noticed there was a bit of sun breaking through in this amazing valley, and I've taken a couple of shots. Now, I drove up this morning from Denver, and coming through Denver was horrendous. I was in this massive hire car. It was lashing down with rain, and I thought, oh dear, this isn't starting out very well. But things have quietened down, and I'm now on this fabulous little mountain road. I'm heading over into the western side of the Rockies to a little mountain town called Ouray. But this scene really caught my eye, and I was forced to pull over. Most of this trip is going to be park and shoot stuff because you really don't have to go very far from the roadside. But I'm looking down this valley. The fall colours are stunning. I've been tempted to stop along the way, but I know that I'm going to see many more when I get where I'm going. So I reluctantly drove past a few. But this little valley here with the layers, bit of sun just catching the autumn colour, and some trees just along the bottom of the image in the foreground. I'm really happy with that. And you can see there's loads of rain coming down. I'd hoped it would be snow, but it isn't. So yeah, I'm happy with what I've got here. I'm going to press on. So I just parked up at my motel and walked about 100 meters down the road. But all the roads off of Main Street in Ouray, they're all just dirt roads. It's fabulous. I found this bench. I thought I'll just come and have a quick look at the river. The Uncompahgre River runs down through the Box Canyon, and there's some lovely evening light just catching a peak above the top of this scene, and it's all nicely framed by these trees, so had to be done. I'm really just sort of warming myself up, if I'm honest. So I've just been playing around with a few different focal lengths. I don't want to get in too tight because it's not a full S-curve, but it does sweep round quite nicely. So I don't want to lose that if I can avoid it. But the light on that mountain peak is pretty special. I might just slap a 35 to 100 on there and get in a bit tighter. So to get a shutter speed of about a second, I've got my aperture down at f8, but I have got a 3-stop built-in ND going on. Got it polarized. I've also got a 0.9 soft grad so that the brightness of the sky isn't clipping. It's very dark down here in the bottom of the image, so I needed to do something. Didn't want to lose detail in the shadows. I think it's a bit belt and braces, if I'm honest, because this OM3 is pretty reliable, even pulling shadows out these days. So I could be a bit more cavalier, but I got time. And I mean, look at it. I'm sat here photographing a glorious mountain scene, sat on a bench 100 meters from my cabin. Wow. Okay, so it's the next morning and it's my full day here at Ouray, Colorado. I'm heading south on the $1 Million Highway about 20 miles to an old historic mining town called Silverton. So that's today's plan, and I'm no more than half a mile out of town. I've already found my first shot. I couldn't resist it. Luckily, there's plenty of pull-ins along this highway, although it's pretty narrow and windy, so it's going to be interesting, especially given that I'm rubbish at driving abroad and I've hired a giant car that is nothing like what I'm used to. Anyway, all of that aside, this is a really straightforward image. I haven't actually taken the image yet, but probably a panorama to take in this beautiful vista, and I do specifically want to shoot the town from up here as well, because it really puts it in the context of these amazing mountains. So I was driving along just minding my own business when I spotted this old shack, which it's got the look of a mine entrance to it. I don't know what it is. Yeah, this is fascinating. I'm going to see if I can make something of it for a photograph, because it's one of those archetypal bits of Americana. So I've had a walk around, and to be honest, by far the best shot is the obvious one, straight down the tram lines into the mine shaft / engine shed, who knows. No complications really, apart from one thing: because of the angle of the sun, there's no way to get the shot that I want without just getting a bit of the shadow of the camera in the bottom corner. It'll clone out easily enough because it's just shingle textured gravel sort of thing, so it'll be easy enough to clone out. But I've gone for the wide angle lens on this one. This is the first time I've put my 9mm on. All my other stuff has been taken care of by my 12 to 45. I had to come and have a look before I headed off. It does look like an abandoned mine shaft. It looks as if they'd attempted to seal it off, and enterprising people have bashed their way through. Anyway, yeah, back to the autumn colours. So I was just heading back to the car, and I noticed another shack falling to bits in amongst these fabulous fir trees with some aspens behind and a mountain backdrop. I don't know if I can do anything with it, but I certainly thought it was worth having a scout round. This one turned out to be pretty tough, and I almost walked away from it, because bottom line is it's not that good a composition, but there isn't one to be had that will get me the elements of this whole scene. I've got Red Mountain, that's what it's called, Red Mountain. There's, I think, 3 of them, and they're imaginatively called 1, 2, and 3, which, you know, I guess if somebody didn't discover them first or die trying to get to the summit, and they're red coloured, you might as well just call them Red 1, Red 2, Red 3. Anyway, forget that. But I've got that. I also wanted the autumn colour. I'm trying to avoid having too much of this gravelly foreground, but there isn't really much I can do with that. I'll downplay it in post. But I love the old shack. There's no way to fit the whole thing in. And there's a tree immediately behind it, which is moving from yellow to orange, that I wanted to include. But I'm shooting straight into the sun, so major exposure blend required on this one. But the reason I took the shot, and that's kind of where I came in, is that I like my photography to be a cut above holiday snaps, but at the same time, that's what they are. I'll share them with you, but the fact remains that I'll be taking 1 or 2 substandard compositions, not because, oh, he's losing his touch, maybe I am, who knows, but because I want to remember it. So, you know, I'm just going to get my iPhone out and take a snap. I'm going to try and do something as well as I can, but I'm still going to take shots that otherwise I probably would pass up, just in case you're looking at it and thinking, what is he thinking? Right, let's move on down the road. If you're ever looking for a definition of the word kitsch, this would do it really nicely. The thing is, though, it's not a theme park. This is how people live here. A lot of these buildings are historical monuments, they're protected, and they go back to the 1880s, 1890s. Not so much gold rush days, but silver, hence the name Silverton, lead, that sort of thing. This is as far south as I'm going to be heading today. I'm going to have a pit stop here and then head back on the $1 Million Highway north to Ouray again. Interestingly, quite a few stops along the way that I noticed as I was passing that I thought, okay, when the sun comes around a bit, they'll be better on when I'm heading in the other direction. So with a bit of luck, still 1 or 2 more to stop and see what I can do with. So I've stopped at a couple of the places I scoped out heading south on the way back heading north, and neither of them really panned out. So completely coincidentally, I hadn't seen this on the way up because it would have been over my shoulder, but coming back this way, could see there's some quite good foreground potential here with some really nice mountain backdrops, including one of the Red Mountains. So I think it's worth having a bit of a look around here. So I managed to find something that I think works quite well. I've got lovely backlit foreground with these beautiful yellow foliage, and then some quite interesting midground, some more colour in the far midground, and a big red mountain. Fortunately, the only downside is I've got a solid blue sky, and I've been waiting for some clouds. Some appeared while I was setting up, but I didn't hit the shutter button in time. I was thinking I might need to exposure blend it because the midground is really dark, but it seems to be working out okay. I've got my aperture dialed down to, I think, f8 or 9, something like that. And I've also lifted my ISO to 800 because I do need a fast shutter speed. The wind has got up and these little leaves are blowing around. So So what I've done with the composition and these two aspen trunks either side, I'll crop slightly in post to push them slightly further out, but they do act as quite nice framing devices, and then it keeps your eye moving right through the middle of the image, which is where all the interest is. Even though it's only about 1 o'clock in the afternoon, I'm absolutely wiped out. I woke up at stupid o'clock, but also I've got a really heavy dose of altitude sickness. I feel absolutely wiped out. Tomorrow morning I'm on the road about 6:30 to head up towards Moab, and then on to Canyonlands and Arches National Parks. So a busy day tomorrow. So I think I'm all done for today. I'll probably leave it there for this particular video. Thank you ever so much for joining me. I really hope you've enjoyed it half as much as I have. And if you have, why not subscribe and join me next time? Cheers.